Well, again, as you said, first we have to, as adults, are we ready to make the necessary sacrifice, and are we ready to come together to do a collective effort, to make a collective effort? Everybody has been cast into their own individual conditions that they're struggling against one another rather than pooling their resources. And they think that they would kind of lose themselves. And the fear that they've put into us is that we lose ourselves when we come together with others, and that there's a competition. And we've been bred to think of competition with one another rather than to be in compatibility with one another. So we have to raise the next generation to work together and to give them the kind of intelligence necessary to act cohesively on specific things that we need immediately, and that is schooling for our children that is not connected to the public, I guess, what we call that, the public drone-making machinery that, diminishes the intellectual capability of our children and teaches them how to think what to think, rather than how to think. And so we have to start with the next generation. Sometimes there are those in these other generations that we cannot help because they're already so far gone and caught up in the system. And I know this sounds cruel, but if we are to plan, we have to think the way they do, as a warrior would and as a general would in a wartime situation. The situation is now where, the battlefield has become, and I'm using these as metaphors, the battlefield has become so confusing. The enemy now has blown so much smoke into the environment that we can't even discern each other to know where we're aiming our attentions. We don't know which direction to go, and we don't even know who's beside us and who beside us is real, who beside us is going to be there with us. So today, I think that the only way that we're going to really work is when the few who have the capability to come together will be able to take a few of our children, those who are able to be molded, and then use them as a prototype to teach others how to get it done. We don't have a self-interest group, a self-interest plan. We're always worried about whether or not the man himself will give us permission or will validate what we say and what we do. We're always looking for some kind of validation from others. And that's what we got to stop. So I believe that everything is going to start first and foremost with educating our children. We have all the information. We have all the teachers in place. We have all of the scholarship necessary to raise the next generation right. We don't have the will to come together to do it, though. We're too busy wanting to step on it. The one thing I don't like about this particular generation is that everybody wants to be a teacher now. Nobody goes through the crucible that Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and we sitting at the feet handing the torches. Everybody now, because of YouTube, can now get in, snatch the information from off the YouTube or off of and then cut and paste their own format and then go out and say, okay, film me. I'm the new master. I'm the this and the that. And everybody wants to be seen. Like that old saying, everybody wants to be an Indian chief, nobody wants to be an Indian. And everybody is trying to vie for attentions for people so that they can get accolades and 15 minutes of fame. What this has done, the conscious community, and I'm responsible for that, and I hold myself responsible, and the other progenitors and creators of the conscious community, and we were the creators of the conscious community because we took it to the next phase from our elders, Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark, who gave us an understanding and a consciousness based upon what we did, the effects of African genius, but we never knew the cause of African genius. We never got into the spirituality, the metaphysics. And that's where this so-called conscious community came in, when we started to raise the Kemetic sciences, raise the astrosophic sciences. What it is that our elders didn't teach us, we went to learn and began between Bobby, myself, Delbert Blair, C. Freeman L., and other brothers and sisters, so like Brother Taj. We went and started getting into all of the metaphysics. We got to get into the astrosophic, the astrology and the numerology and all of the things that the brilliant minds of our ancient ancestors actually created, and what the white man began stealing and creating his new age with. So we wanted to build that up in the black community and in our own community, in the grassroots community, but then it just went hog-ass wild. It started to, everybody saying, okay, I can do this, I can get this, I can do this, but nobody ain't getting anything done. Nobody's taking that information and consolidating it into a plan so that we can move forward. But guess what? I know that there are a few brothers out there who will say, well, I'm doing it. Yes, you are. There's sisters out there saying, well, I'm doing it. Yes, you are. But again, there has to be a consolidated effort. Your efforts towards the small micromanagement of your community, that's where you start. And then you find out what works. And then when you find what works, you start networking with others who have found what works in their community, and then you connect the dots. That's how it's done.
And I'm gonna let somebody else get one last question before we go into the top of the hour. It's almost 11. I think that we've been, and I'm in my 50s. I've been pretty much in the same era. And when A.J. Rogers was the first book we were told to read, Sex and Civilization. I mean, we did the research, but we started to find out there was a time when these caustic leaders, and I say caustic leaders, those like of say Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan, the Yahweh Ben Yahweh, the Malachi York, these individuals did have schools, they did have businesses, they did have these things. Somewhere down the line, between growth and notoriety that these groups came, it seems that they all went down the way. Farrakhan is probably one of the last, and he probably will be the last of those type of groups, in my opinion. That's my opinion. What do you think happened to those? Because we had school. I don't think that's nothing new about us having schools, us having land, but we seem to lose it, and that's what I'm having a problem with. Getting with people that that we can keep. Because I admit, Valentine, I don't think nobody gave as much as we did. We gave whole paychecks, dumb as that sound. Anybody who knows the Temple of Yahweh here in Florida, that was a very big movement, and it went into a serious issue. I mean, we had every hotels, you name it. The only thing that he didn't have is ships, but Gil probably would have got that if he didn't put the hotel on Miami Beach. Why is it that we get such an attack, and then the people just watch us, and I say that not in everybody, but the people seem to watch the groups disintegrate, and we just fall by the wayside. What do you see why that happens? Because it happens to a lot of our groups, especially the ones that are doing certain things.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to try to wrap it up at this point myself. The reason for that is because we are dealing with the Messiah complex. These groups that you're talking about each have a leader that they quote-unquote even worship. And once you have a head that can be chopped off with people who essentially look to that head as their only leader, and once you have leaders and intellects who essentially teach in tiers and only raise a few to be greater than they, that's where your problem lies. It is to diffuse the greatness that you have achieved through the people, so that when one head gets cut off, there's no movement. The movement does not die. It continues to go on. That's been the problem. We've been continually the ones who really lead the planet, you don't see them. The ones who really orchestrate from behind the scenes, you don't see them. And it's been our problem. We have a Messiah, essentially a Messiah complex. And when the United States machinery, the what I call the propagandist machinery, run by the Khazarian, when they used that machinery called TV and used it as a propagandist weapon against the psyche, they began to build up, our need to look for somebody as a strong leader. And COINTELPRO not only destroys those leaders, but creates them for us.
That's right.
So when we begin to, do the things necessary to raise each one of our children to that same great height that you achieved, and that's what I teach in my school, the University of Communication Sciences, that if you as a teacher, because that's all we're teaching, we're not teaching students, we're teaching teachers. Just the very fact that you are a teacher means you are to remain a student in accordance to our philosophy. Our philosophy and our wording is the mission is mastery. And again, the mission is an ongoing thing. So if you are not teaching, and if you find yourself to become a teacher, if you're not teaching your student to be greater than you, then essentially you're just pimping the energy that comes with the attention that that student gives to you. And attention is a very powerful energy. It's a very powerful material. It's a material substance to the psyche. You can feed on people's attention. And that gives you that attention that people give you, they pay it. That's why they say they ask you to pay attention. You pay a lot. You pay in energy. You pay in everything, your psyche, everything, your thoughts. All of that goes. So if you're not teaching your student to become greater than you, if you have been given the gift to be able to teach, and if you're not teaching your students to be greater than you, then you're a pimp. Then you're somebody up there who's up there aggrandizing the position you've been given, and you're just serving this image that you project of yourself. So our mistake is that we keep looking for messiahs, not teachers. We're not looking for teachers, we're looking for messiahs. So we got to come out of that messiah.
100%. That is 100% accurate. As a person who knows and been there, you're absolutely right.